Hey, welcome to Matt Talk, guys. Matt, here with Red and Andy again today. Today we're just going to be covering the use of marijuana and the mixture of cheer and how we've seen it work for people and not work for others and what that. And then we're going to be talking about how certain gyms, not certain gyms, but how some gyms are, handling this whole coronavirus situation. We're going to see, what we all think and hopefully what you guys think eventually. So, our first topic is yours today, Andy, right? You were the one that wanted to do the whole marijuana segment, right?
Nah.
Yeah. Whose idea was that?
That was my idea. That was his idea. Whoa, bro.
So what do you think about it then? Since it's your idea, since you wanted to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just in general, I initially when I first was around it and it happening, coming from, and sorry about our dog, she's gonna make noise and stuff, but being around it, coming from other sports, a football, basketball, track kid, where you just don't do drugs with those sports. It's just something that never happens in at least high school age level. You get it a significant amount more in college and in the pros, but it just marijuana use during the sport just doesn't really happen. At least when I was coming through school, I'm significantly older. Things change as time goes on.
That's funny because I had a very different experience in high school.
At least, and I'm not saying people didn't use it; they just weren't using it while doing the sport.
Oh, okay.
In those sports,
we're talking specifically today about
using
the combination of the two at the same time.
And we can talk too, outside of it, using it and still being a cheerleader, thoughts on that too. But in general, when I showed up at my first All-Star gym, a good portion of the team was smoking weed, and a few kids would smoke while cheering. Dude, come here, kid. Come here. They would do it while cheering. And so my initial thing, coming from sports, were that was just no, absolutely not, never. I was put off by it. I'm how could they do that? And then, I'm burping on camera. It's all good. It's awesome. But as I got around it more, there was a kid that he said he tumbled better when he was high, and I'm that can't be true. And then I watched him tumble, and I'm well,
are you high right now?
Yeah, and he would compete high, he'd practice high, he'd do it all high, and one of the most talented kids I've ever seen tumble. So
it's practice like you perform.
Well, that's honestly that is definitely one side of it for me. Is if you were going to compete high, you better practice high. Don't just get high for the competition. I think that's one of the dumbest things you could ever do. So
absolutely.
Now I'm at a point where I can't say I'm still in favor because I don't know if you really should be under the influence while holding people in the air and doing things like that. I don't know if I'm necessarily in favor of it, but I can see how it works for some kids.
I mean, I've heard some argue it's dangerous either way.
Sure.
And, people drive vehicles with very few motor incidents, under the influence of marijuana. It's just, I feel that when it comes down to it, depends on the person. Because myself, I do both, but not at the same time. I enjoy being sober when I cheer because it gives me, I don't know, it just makes it easier, makes it more focused. And when I'm high, it's just start thinking about everything.
Okay.
It's I feel I overthink, and when I'm sober, it's a lot easier. Just we're just gonna throw this tumbling skill real quick,
And to your point of less motor accidents, that's usually because you have slower you're just moving at a slower pace in general. Granted, you might have slower reaction time, so if someone's coming at you, you're not going to be able to avoid them, but you're probably not going to be the person causing those accidents.
It's a scientific thing that marijuana impairs your reaction time, and people that argue otherwise are just idiots, in my opinion, because no, it definitely does that. It's been proven.
And
it's what it does.
And to that point, in cheer, if you have a slow reaction time, something happens with your stomach.
Someone falls and Mr. Sloth in it to catching a girl, and
yeah. So I mean, do you have?
How do you feel about this? You've been pretty quiet.
I mean, it's just from the athletes I've been with, it's I see both sides, kind of what you were saying. I can see how people could, or how Red was saying, I could see how people might say it makes them better, and just the aspect where it's you don't think as much, you might throw your tumble pass, you have a mental block on a full and everything, and you throw it because you're not thinking. I mean, from one that I know, I remember he came in high as a kite, bro. That nigga was gone, dude, and I was like, you good, dude? You like, I don't think you should stunt, dude. That's the best I've seen him stunt in like ever, and I was just like, well, I mean, if it works, I guess, but like you guys said, like, I just feel like you're just not gonna catch something that falls. Like, I just feel like you're just like, even though you think you're good, I don't think you're gonna be able to catch someone when they're falling. I just don't see it happening. Like, granted, you're doing better, so like the chances of you dropping a stunt are less likely, I guess, now. But it's just, you know,
or even like tumbling, when you make a mistake mid-air, you need that, you know, split-second reaction time to make sure you don't land on your neck. You know, it's that almost like not even a moment to hesitate between your back and your neck. And I would much rather land on my back.
Same.
And I mean, I guess, so for you personally, you would not do it while cheering.
No, because I mean, from a situation that happened to me, I wasn't technically, I guess you could say I wasn't technically high. I was like coming off the effects, I guess you could say. Like, what would you call that? Like,
Coming down.
Yeah, coming down. So like, and I still felt really weird, and I went to like, bruh, I'm a lightweight. I'm sorry. So yeah, so like I was coming down from it, and I didn't feel like I was stunting at the ability that I would be, and like at the time, I don't think if I went in high to practice or anything, I don't think I would have done as well as I do. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think I'd be able to do anything. Like, my coach Red would probably be like, "Yo, we're gonna do a switch up," and I'd be like,
"Oh, what?"
Annie, what? like that would be me. Like, I wouldn't have the reaction time for it. I wouldn't be focused. Some people say that it gets them more focused, so that's why I guess it makes them a better stunter, because they're focusing on it. But I just don't know. I don't personally think that it does. But hey, if you could trick yourself to think that you are.
I mean, I've got a friend who has a lot of anxiety just in everyday life, and he just smokes a lot of weed to help with it. And he said, he told me that like when he's trying to tumble, he gets way too in his head when he's sober, and like he, you know, just starts tearing himself down before he even tumbles, like giving himself corrections that he might not even need. And you know, I can understand that being like a way to, you know, calm that voice. Like, all right, dude, just shut the fuck up. Let me do what I do.
And I mean, like, to kind of belabor Andy's point a little bit of like Andy at least is smart enough to know what he's doing and where he's at, and like makes those choices. Because I mean, this
Absolutely.
man, one time I messaged him, I was like, hey, like, why aren't you at practice? Why are you late? And I get this text back, and he's like, I'm just too high to come. And like,
hey man, I don't
like I get this message, I'm like, all right, but like still, like, coach's perspective and like even athlete's perspective, like, I mean, from our perspective, at least he didn't show up high and like try to make it work, and he wasn't gonna be able to do it.
Someone or
exactly.
Something, you
and
know?
then like from his perspective, at least he's smart enough to know it wasn't the right environment to be in.
No.
Self-awareness, folks.
Yes.
Know when you're too high.
I mean, but like I said, I mean, maybe some people do feel like they can do better.
So
I
like,
totally understand that side too, because I'm a very comfortable stoner. I do everything in my life high, except for cheer, pretty much. Because that's just the one thing I've never really felt comfortable with.
And like the whole point of like, you know, should, like, if you're going to compete high, you should probably practice high. But like, let's say like you're like, it's legal in Illinois now, so it's a little bit easier to get your hands on it in general. Like, it was easy before, and it's pretty easy.
It's never been
difficult. But let's say you show up at Worlds. Worlds isn't a good example because it's everywhere at Worlds. But like, let's say you show up to a competition in Ohio, and you don't know, like, you forgot to bring your set with you, and like you don't know where you can get it from at that point. You struggle to find it before you compete. So now you've been practicing high, and now you got to compete sober. Like, I feel like, and especially if you're a person who needs it to focus and to relax and things like that, like,
you're fucked.
Yes.
At that point.
And like, not that that's like something that's likely to happen, because like I said, it's pretty easy to find a supply and get your hands on basically anywhere. But there are places where, like, I mean, like,
just not as popular.
Let's say you don't realize it till 7 a.m. like the day you're competing. Like, now you got 5 hours to find it, like, in a strange town. Like,
well, not even just that. I mean, like, there's not very much security or anything at the competitions, but I'm pretty sure if someone working for the comp saw you stoned as hell, I just don't think you're getting on the mat. Like, for one.
See,
but, okay,
I can kind of see both sides, because like I think what they would do is they would push it off to the coach and make it the coach's responsibility. And like it all depends on the coach at that point.
If they even notice. But in your
Yes.
scenario, what I'm hearing is like an everyday stoner. Like they wake up and they are smoking within an hour.
Yeah.
They probably aren't getting, blasted. They're probably not getting stupid high.
I don't know, dude. Like, I've seen like I've been around a kid who like tumbled high every time, competed high, and like,
But was like,
he was gone. Like he was not there like at all.
That's
Like,
I can't even imagine that.
Yo, we
Like,
competed this weekend?
like
Straight up?
I think like legit, like it was to that point of like.
Because even on my way to work, like there are sometimes I smoke a little too much, and I'm like, shouldn't have done that.
And like at least to this kid's like defense a little bit, he wasn't heavily involved in stunts.
Oh, okay.
And he was mainly a tumbler. He did still do stunts, so like he still held up people and stuff, but like he wasn't heavily involved in stunts at least.
And I mean, okay, then there's even less responsibility on him to keep his teammates safe because,
Right.
like, I mean, well, it all comes back to not tumbling into people or like
Sure.
landing your shit so someone doesn't land on you and all that goodness.
But how do you focus on counts though? Like you know what I mean? Like,
And like to like I can't relate too much because I haven't smoked very much in my life, so like, but like
not a stoner.
from like outside
Yeah.
perspective, like looking at it, like I would think the same thing. Like, how do you focus on counts and shit?
I mean, I guess if you're like Matt, you're like you can do anything that. But like for me, like I
mean-
wouldn't. I'd hear 5, 6, 7, 8, and I wouldn't know what's going on.
Who, what, where, when?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, no, yeah. I literally like, why are they counting numbers?
I'm
And then-
a very music-oriented person already in my life, so I can completely understand. Because when I'm high, music's the go-to. Before TV shows, the internet, social media, whatever, music's the go-to. Entertainment. I could understand like not really having to focus, but still it being like one of the most present things,
Okay.
keeping that like that clock
Yeah.
going, that like
But-
you get on that rhythm.
With that in mind, I guess like I've never thought about this before, but
6,
like
7, 8.
you watch those kids that lose count in a routine, like what are the odds they were just high and lost their way?
Honestly, very probable.
maybe.
Like if you're watching a senior team or an open team, like obviously if you're watching a junior team, it's possible, but a little bit less.
Like
likely.
that one team that went to Worlds and completely missed jumps.
Someone miss jumps.
That's crazy.
Who would miss jumps at
Yeah.
Worlds? Like that's
Yeah.
that's unbelievable.
Not even gonna
Bro,
say
if I knew them, shit.
Yeah, I wouldn't talk to them ever again.
It's embarrassing.
But then it's like also I guess you could say like I mean like okay so like I guess we're all kind of on the whole like yes it might be okay but then yet no it might not.
See,
I
yeah.
at least I think I'm in the middle.
I know, like I can defend it one way and I can defend it the other, and like I think it just goes back to if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it and go all
Just
into it.
be consistent,
Yes.
at least.
Okay, so then I guess we're all like on the same page, like middle. We're all in the middle, right?
Yes. Like
I personally don't. But
Yeah,
if someone
else.
does and they're not like visibly being dangerous or like stupid about something,
Yeah.
like obviously there's a point where someone has to step in and like, hey bud, like you might want to not do that anymore.
And like to that point too, I guess like I think if you don't absolutely need it, you probably shouldn't.
But see, if you need it, you probably should work on not needing it.
That too, but like anxiety is just one of those things where like I mean, so what? You don't smoke weed and you take what is it, Prozac instead or
Okay.
Xanax instead, like and
yeah,
like
and then become a zombie.
like so is it better that way versus
I've actually never thought about it like that.
because like that what Xanax is a treatment for anxiety, right?
I'm pretty sure. I don't.
I'm sure there's more.
specifically,
There's
but
probably
yes.
more than just that, but like I think that's a major like.
But any of those would have side effects that would be similar or worse to, the.
And I'm just gonna
reduced-
check the camera real quick because we don't have a cameraman today, so keep
Oh,
going.
okay.
Just make sure we're all good.
But yeah, that's an interesting twist on it, because like that, yeah, you would need. But at the same time, someone that smokes every day for anxiety is not getting absolutely blasted every time they smoke.
Sure. They get up,
Hopefully
they
at least.
they take a couple of rips.
Like
and
high
call it
enough
a
to
day.
get rid of the anxiety.
Yeah.
It's still functional and like, cause see, you have different stoners everywhere, so
Sure.
like different stoners are gonna try different things, and like your one guy you knew absolutely ripped every time he tumbled, which is cool. It works for him, but like
Yeah.
I'm sure Joe Schmo that smokes for anxiety, 2-3 puffs here and there, like wouldn't be able to. I don't know.
And I guess like, if what other reasons other than like maybe focus and anxiety would you do it, and like, or any of the reasons that are legitimate would you need to be blasted for it? Like,
Just don't give a fuck, dude.
like well, yes, it's
not giving a fuck would be the only thing I could think of.
Which isn't really a reason to. It's just why you're doing it.
But yeah, so what I was trying to go at from like, since we all stand kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Most people who cheer are probably cheering at a gym that isn't theirs. So
Sure.
how does that work into it? I guess you'd say. Like,
I mean, I don't think there's a gym out there that condones it.
Exactly.
At least publicly.
Yeah.
Now, I've been a part and around gyms that like
They might turn a blind eye to it.
they might say it's not allowed at this gym, but anyone who's over the age of 10 is doing it, and it's like,
Jesus.
not really, but like,
Okay.
but like then there's also
hey, he's not completely wrong.
Right.
I know 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds.
yeah,
I
like
mean,
like so it happens, and like I mean too, like there's accounts of coaches doing it with kids at gyms, and like the tough thing is like coaches sometimes are 20. So like when you say a coach is doing it at a gym with a kid at the gym, is it a teammate?
yeah, it's
or
like an
like-
18-year-old smoking with a 20-year-old.
Yeah, so like
not that
it comes
weird,
off wrong, but like who knows? Like maybe some of those. Oh, we're very excited.
The dog.
The dog's very excited. Just came back in the room. But like maybe some of those accounts are, you know, a 40-year-old with a 18-year-old or 20-year-old.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
And who knows? Like these are just random things that like I've heard being a cheer this
Ideas.
long and stuff.
Mhm.
But like, so yeah, so every gym is going to say no, not allowed at our gym.
Like on paper, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I'm sure there are some that stick by that very rigidly, and like any evidence of, you know.
And the issue is the people who stick by it rigidly are normally the people who are just very naive and doesn't think it happens. So then they're turning a blind eye basically to it, like
But like ignorantly.
Yes, exactly. Like it's the number of coaches that I've talked to. They're like, our kids don't smoke weed. I'm like, I know every single one of your kid on that team has smoked weed in the last year. Like, and they honestly don't think their kids do. Is the thing. It's not
so funny.
It's not right.
Weed? What the fuck?
It's not that they're showing up and like thinking like, oh, like we don't allow it at our gyms, so our kids wouldn't do it. They just don't understand how prevalent it is with people under the age of 18. Like they think only stoners smoke, and like only alcoholics go out and drink when they're in high school. Like, and it's like,
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
like, and it's that's their mindset as gym owners and coaches, and like that's not every gym owner and coach, and like it's gotten better, I've noticed, as time's gone on, but like still in general, like I mean, there's still quite a few people out there that don't realize it. Like when I like talk to them about it, they're like, wait, what?
And you're like, yeah, everyone smokes today.
And like I think like my standpoint generally,
Stone right now.
my standpoint always like as a coach, the way I present it to my teams is always like, even though like now I'm saying like, yeah, I can see where kids are coming from smoking. If I knew a kid was getting high coming into my gym and stuff, I would kick them out. Like that's as a coach, like even though yes, I can say I understand where they're coming from and stuff, it's still a potential liability if I'm aware of it. So like I know it's happening and they're walking to the gym, I'm good. But if they want to smoke on their own time outside of the gym, like it's
So you're a turn a blind eye, but I know what I'm doing kind of.
sort of like it, and then
Well,
like
it's not turning a blind eye. I think Red's kind of trying to say like, hey, if you want to do it on your own time, do it on your own time. But like,
don't
like,
show up high or
yeah.
drunk or anything to my practice where you're holding people in the air. Like it's a safety issue in my mind still, even though I can say I understand where people are coming from with it. I still don't think it's the right liability choice as a coach or a gym owner to allow it if you see it happening. Now, would I try to not investigate sometimes? You know, like if they walk in and I can't tell if they're high, and someone else walks up to me and says, "Hey, Jimmy," I couldn't think of an name. I call Josie. Jimmy was smoked out in the parking lot, and like.
That's our
15-minute alarm? Yeah. We just want to stay on time. I don't want to talk about things too long. But like, someone comes to me and says, Jimmy's been smoking in the parking lot. And, like, they showed practice. I didn't notice they were high and like they're functioning just fine. I wouldn't do anything because they're functioning fine. But as soon as that kid comes up to me and tells me they're in the parking lot smoking, I will remove that kid because now I'm aware of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Like, I guess it is still kind of turning a blind eye because it's like, if you show up high and I can't tell the difference, why do I care?
Yeah.
Like at that point, and like, and you're still hitting all your stunts and doing what you're supposed to be doing, like why do I really care? But yeah, I think it's tough from a gym owner's coach's perspective.
It's a very thick gray area for, I feel like, everybody, athletes, coaches, gyms, parents even, probably. Like, it's just a weird spot.
Because, like, if you were to take the stance you're supposed to and start kicking off anyone who smokes weed at any time, whether it's in your gym, outside your gym,
half of all-star cheerleaders.
Easy. At least half of senior teams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, you would be losing half of senior teams easy across the board. And then you tack on drinking to that, you don't have teams.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You got like a level 2.
It stops at level 4.
yes, like it's.
And even that's questionable.
Exactly. So it's like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
You got like a level 3 and under. That's about it.
And this doesn't just go for all-star sports. It's all sports across the board.
Any sport ever. But you can still be, like, kicked off or disqualified, like, if you get drug tested, right?
Sure, I don't think.
Because Worlds does random drug tests, right?
I don't know. I guess not that I was aware of, but I guess I can't say for sure.
I can't say at all because I haven't been.
I don't think they do, but like I've never really looked into it.
I was told a while ago, and I never did my research. So
and that's what you get. You get stupid shit like that where you'll get coaches and gym owners that will tell their kids that they're going to be drug tested randomly, and like this happens at the high school level, it happens at college level, it happens everywhere, where they tell their kids that, and it's not true. And like, sure, you might protect yourself for maybe that small period of time before the kids do the research, but there's going to be a kid out there at some point that looks into it and be like, we're not getting tested.
Yeah.
Like, and then you're screwed at that point. Now you're a liar to your kids, and they don't respect you anymore at that point. Like, so
they're still gonna go smoke weed.
Exactly. Like, so like you might have been good for 2 competitions before someone looked into it, and like they followed the rules. Like, oh shit, I don't know why you get drug tested.
Mm-hmm.
What was that?
I don't know. We're gonna ignore that.
Okay. Wow, noises. But yeah, so I mean.
So generally, we're all in the middle, and like
I think we're all kind of on the whole like try not to do it.
If you're gonna, just be self-aware. Make sure you're not stupid about it, and if it doesn't work, stop doing it. Obviously, like be safe. That's the biggest thing I think about all of this is just safety for you, yourself, your teammates, your gym's name.
Sure.
If you care about that too, you know, like if you're at a big gym and you mess up, it looks bad on everybody there.
Well, that's the thing. Even if you don't care about that gym, like at the end of the day,
Even
it's
still,
it's a person who's put a lot of work into like
you know, it's
sure,
someone's business.
gym,
It's someone's like their income.
That makes sense.
So
So yeah.
just be responsible.
All right.
Coronavirus, right?
Yeah, that was the last thing we were going to talk about, right?
Yeah.
So
Coronavirus some more. So I mean, I guess again
we're talking specifically about gyms interactions. Right?
Yeah, because like I mean, think about it now. So schools just closed, not basically, nationwide.
Well, because we're stationed in like Chicago suburb area.
Yeah.
And right now we have seen schools closed until what, May?
Well, so they close. So today's Sunday, so they're open tomorrow, and then they close Tuesday all the way through the end of the month.
Okay.
So and then they're going online most likely after that for at least 2 to 3 weeks.
And I know today the city of Chicago passed a ban. Was it?
Yeah.
The ban on more than 1,000 people.
No. Today they passed more than 100 people in bars.
Oh.
The 1,000 people was like last Thursday, but like you can't even have more than 100 people in a bar.
Mm-hmm.
Like going.
Which is really unfortunate because I work in a bar.
So what do gyms do at this point? Like the ban's not for gyms at this point or anything like that, but like as a gym owner, your school just closed. Should you be holding practice?
I mean, as a gym owner, that's a prime time right there because
Sure.
you're like, I know you kids don't have school. Come on in and practice.
We're gonna do 3 practices a day. We're gonna run open gyms and make extra money.
Absolutely.
Because parents got to send their kids somewhere.
But at the same time,
Should you?
will parents send their kids to a big,
Yeah.
open gym type thing? Like,
Well, that's the thing. Parents aren't even sending their kids to open gyms. Like, I literally have been struggling to get a flyer this week, and I kind of last week, not really last week, but mostly this week, I've been struggling to like get a flyer into open gym with me because legit, their parents are literally just like, nah. Like, there's, you're not going into a gym where kids sweat on the mats and they cough whatever somewhere in there.
breathing heavy, like.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
So it's it's not even that. Like, should our gym gonna close down because of the fact that they got no business coming in?
should they be though?
Yeah, like-
is the question I guess the ultimate question is like, is it wrong for a gym to try and stay open and monopolize that free time that people have now?
And so I'm in a point where like I
Maybe don't eat that.
you're killing me, kid.
Kill me, Smalls.
I'm still at a standpoint. I'm still at a standpoint where, sorry, I wanted to talk into the camera, not into
To the
wall.
camera.
I'm still at a standpoint where like I'm still not freaking out about this thing.
Mhm.
I still think it's serious, yes, for the elderly and things like that. And like, if you're going to be around the elderly and you have no choice, or if you are older with a compromised immune system, don't go out in public and don't be around people.
Obviously.
But in general, I'm still not worried about this thing. So like, I don't think they need to be closing personally. Like, I think it's tough to say that though with everything else closing.
Okay, but like we were talking about earlier, how much worse the flu is, like just regular flu is.
Sure.
And how they don't treat it as such a big deal because they would have to do these quarantines every flu season.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess you could talk about it in a similar manner, like gyms don't close for flu season just because people are getting sick at a higher rate. Like
Sure.
they stay open. If you're gonna get sick, if you're, you don't be there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I've heard of some gyms, they're holding practices, but they're only doing one team at a time. That's only that team in the gym at once, no parents allowed. And that's how they're trying to move forward and function with it. But what do you do if you have a team of 20 and 6 parents still say they're not going to send their kid? Or you have those crazy parents, because this happens, where they won't send their kid if they can't watch, because they're not sending their kid because their kid likes cheer. They're sending their kid because they like to watch their kid do cheer.
Oh.
I've actually met, yeah.
Like you have those parents.
Attest to
No,
their
no, yeah,
being
yeah.
parents like that.
Those
I'm
are
sure
probably-
we've all seen them.
I mean, I think most parents are somewhat like that, but there's
Yes.
the like the very like like
Extreme,
like-
that like their kid doesn't like cheer, but they're like, nope, you're gonna cheer.
legit like when we closed the blinds at the gym I was at recently, dude, the parents were just like, no, open the blinds. Like I'm trying to watch, and we're like, no, we're trying to choreograph here. Like we don't want you guys recording, posting on
Right.
like social media and everything. And then they're just like, nah, I need to see my kid. And I'm just like, bruh, chill.
So you say parents can't be in the gym. What do you? Then you have parents not showing up. So like, yes, let's say we say it's okay to keep the gyms open, and that's not an issue, and you're
Well-
trying to, but people aren't showing up.
There are those that will say like, well, legally, like they're not putting any bans on it, so of course go ahead and keep doing it.
But then you have half your team showing up, so you continue practicing with 10 out of your 20 kids. Or
But even then, you're not having real practices. You're
Exactly.
working on, this skill here, that
Sure.
skill here. You might be like conditioning or like.
Yeah.
So you do get something out of it in the end. It's just not as productive as a full practice could be.
Yeah.
and then there's some gym owners that are choosing to close because they think it's the right thing to do. And
I hope they make it through.
that's the tough side. Is like, so now like those gym owners that close, do you charge tuition to the kids? You're not providing a service anymore.
Absolutely not. No.
But then how do you pay your bills? You still got rent due.
Welcome to recession, baby.
Yeah.
Because
Hey,
like,
you closed the gym.
I don't know.
and like, are we gonna see
Side
all
hustle
these?
Twitter needs to get on it. Teach everybody.
So then are we gonna see all these gyms start closing then after this year? If this lasts 2 months,
Wait,
or
closing.
Closing
Like,
because
straight up like
if
Going
you
out of
can't pay your
business.
you
Can't pay your bills for 3 months.
pay
Yeah.
for your pills, alright.
Yeah.
if you can't pay your bills, because like let's say Worlds and Summit does get canceled. So then also gym, let's say they have to close all businesses or whatever because coronavirus for 1 month even. You close for a month and you don't have Worlds. Who's coming into your gym in April and May, and why are they coming there?
Open gyms.
Open
or
gyms
like
and
still your
classes.
like tumbling classes or whatever.
But think
like,
about a class which costs probably somewhere between $40 to $60 a month versus $200 a month tuition. And were they doing that $200 a month tuition and doing a class before? So now you have
all of that missing
all that
now.
money gone. And it's like, so then you don't pay your bills, you don't have any money coming in for sure the rest of March. No money's coming in March if your gym's closed. Most likely it'll be closed the rest of April, so no money coming in April. And then you're struggling maybe to do tryouts in May, and hopefully you're getting back going that. But you just went 2 whole months, no money coming in, and then you don't bring in money during tryouts until tuition starts getting paid. So you're 3 months, and let's say your rent is, $4,000 a month. You're $12,000 in the hole right there, and that's just off rent.
And I mean that's a steep number for like a small name gym for
Yes.
a brand that's like trying to make something like that's
Like I think if you're 5 years into it, you're probably not too worried.
if you're
Okay,
established
so like if
and
you're like
you,
ice, you'll probably
You'll be fine.
oh
Yeah.
you'll
Yes.
probably make it.
they'll probably make it through.
But if you're less than a 5-year gym, like I don't know how you survive that kind of, because you normally don't start turning a profit for most businesses until year 3 or 4. Because when you start turning a profit. So these 1 and 2 year businesses were already operating at a loss, spending money to their bank accounts and just tossing money at the gym.
And now they're just losing it even quicker.
Yes.
That's rough.
Like think about Midwest. Like Midwest, just like where we cheered, like they just closed because like money just wasn't coming in and stuff. Let's say this would have been a year in advance, and they had to close for 3 months, like, and they closed just now because of money. Like,
So from that perspective, I can completely understand if a gym were to try and stay open just to like try and earn something, anything at this point, like, you know.
Well, I mean, in general, I don't see anything wrong with staying open as a gym. Like if you don't want to send your kid, I mean, I guess, but like it makes it hard for you to like keep running the gym. I guess
you get in this weird spot of like, so let's say you have two options. You can keep the gym open and still run team practices and try to do some own gyms, or you can keep the gym open, cancel team practices, and still open gyms, and just do open gyms and classes and stuff and try to keep those going. But you're going to have parents that you're pissing off in both segments. So like, you keep the gym open and you run team. Well, you're pissing off the parents that don't think their kids should be there. You keep the gym open, you close team, you're going to piss off the parents that think they should have been practicing. And it's like, you're in this catch-22 that like, you're just going to piss people off no matter what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And then with that same note, you're not practicing for your teams, but you know, the gym down the street, you know, 20 minutes away is practicing. Do those kids then move over there next year?
Mm-hmm.
That of the parents that think they should have been practicing, and then vice versa. Gym down the street closes, but you stay open and run your team practices. The kids that don't think they should be there, they see this gym, they close. Well, that was the right thing to do in those parents' mind. So then do they go there next year? It's
playing Russian roulette with a fully loaded revolver is what that sounds like.
It's an unbelievable scenario at this point, and like,
God damn.
yeah.
No, good thing we're not gym
We don't gotta make this decision.
Pew pew. Yeah, I would stay open, honestly.
I'd stay open.
Well,
Hands down.
I mean, and then you also like, let's say they don't cancel Worlds, and then you close your gym and you weren't practicing for a month.
You're fucked. You're so far behind everybody else because anybody like dead set on going to Worlds, I'm sure. I bet that has another thing to do. Is how much potential does your team have at Worlds?
Yes.
The more potential that they have at Worlds, you know, I'm sure the more likely you are to stay open, the more likely you are to like
because you want to. And
just come to practice.
Those kids are more dedicated usually too.
True.
If you're a very competitive team,
if you're at that level, yeah.
And the parents are more invested and are more dedicated to it too. So like, yes, if you're that high level team, but that's not what pays the bills. Those level 5 teams don't pay the bills. What pays the bills is the 1 through 4s.
Mm-hmm.
That's who's paying your bills. And it's like, yeah, maybe they think they're going to do well at Summit, but is that a driving force? Like, it's like some people, Summit's, you know, the top of the tier, but for a lot of people, they're looking for Worlds. Summit's just like that in between while they're waiting to go to Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't, and when are they going to make the decision about Worlds and Summit?
I mean, like you said, they have to do it now. Like, basically, at this point, like, what? It's like a month and a half, like less than a month and a half away.
Yeah, I think it's the weekend of April 26th or whatever. So like, we're at March 15th right now. So we're in 10 days. So it's like 40 days basically. Like, and that'd be the weekend. So like, it's really more like 35 days because shit's down there on Thursday and stuff.
That's crazy.
So it's, I mean,
it's sneaking up.
It's right. It's literally right there. And like,
coronavirus couldn't have hit 6 months earlier. Just gotta ruin Worlds.
Well, like, luckily, like for like Illinois cheer, like just barely got through state and everything. State's the first weekend in February. Like as things started getting bigger and bigger. So like, luckily, like at least cheer in Illinois snuck by.
High school cheer.
Yeah, high school cheer.
I think Florida did too.
Yeah, and like there's some other places that got lucky with it with their sport and stuff. But like, what do you do with the senior age kids? Kids that are aging out. Do you give them another year if you cancel it?
No. I don't.
I mean, you should. I feel like you should, because like, dude, imagine, like, dude, okay, it's like the same thing like high school. It's like you only have 4 years to do it. So it's like, well, I mean, I guess you can't really give like a freshman in college an extra year in high school. But since this is All-Star, I feel like, I don't know, maybe next year, like if they do cancel Worlds this year, I feel like
we're never talking about high school though.
No, I was talking All-Star.
Oh.
Yeah. And like the
you thought he meant like
because we
go back to school.
Yeah, no, sorry. Okay.
But even to that point, like college, they're having the same conversation.
Oh, like senior division.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Like the college kids.
Oh, that's fine.
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up here real quick because Andy's got a dip. But like senior, they're talking about the same thing in college. Like, you only get 4 years of eligibility when you do sports in college. So they cancel all college sports. They're talking about, are they going to give another year of eligibility to every kid across the board?
Well, if you cancel the season, they didn't participate in a season.
Yep.
So they didn't even use one of those years.
Like,
technically, like
basketball ran all the way through. and just didn't have the championship. There was a week left of basketball guaranteed.
No, see, I feel like they should definitely get that extra year because they put that work in. They didn't get that championship. They didn't get to see the results of all their hard work.
They just delayed the championship. Like they just throw it into the summer. Or
They canceled. It wasn't feasible. It just like they had a lot of conflicts and like travel and issues. Like there's a whole article on it. It just doesn't work for college.
Okay.
But like do they delay it for All-Star? And I guess we might as well wrap it up here so Andy can dip, but like we can dive back into this topic like the next time we come.
Let us know what you think about both of the topics. Do you smoke? And if you do you cheer when you're high? And if you don't, or you do, why? And let us know what you feel about all the coronavirus shit going on too, because it's crazy.
It is.
It's a weird experience that we're all sharing. So yep, you got those comment sections to go to. So
and we already appreciate the views and comments we've gotten so far at this point. Like we posted one
Absolutely.
video and already got stuff on. So like
absolutely, thank you.
Appreciate it.